Hola amigos, my name is Eddie G and you're watching POV on Me Too News, a series in which we take a topic in the news and I give it the Eddie G 1, 2, 3. Last week we talked about the Book of Life. This week we shift our attention from cinema to television and review Cristela and Jane the Virgin, two new television shows with enough episodes for me to review. Finally! First, let's review Cristela. Cristela is a sitcom about a Mexican-American law school graduate who, like a lot of people in the United States right now, is working as an unpaid intern in hopes of getting a full-time job. Unpaid internships? That's even cheaper than cheap Mexican labor. That's a downgrade. Anyway, unable to make ends meet on her own, Cristela moves in with her sister, who keeps pressuring her to get a real job, her brother-in-law, who just sees her as a freeloader and just wants her the hell out, and her mother, who just cares about Cristela getting hitched. The show also features super comedian Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, who plays Cristela's friend who keeps getting friend-zoned. I like this show because it depicts an educated Latina trying to make it out in the professional world. The show talks about some stereotypes and challenges that Latinos may encounter along the way. For example,
can I toss this in before you empty that? Oh my god, I am so sorry. Obviously you're not the cleaning crew. Can you validate me?
I think you've been validated enough.
Sadly, this is funny because there's some truth to it. Now, what makes this show important is that it marks the first primetime comedy written, created, produced, and starring a Latina. You go, girl. Now, the sitcom is written in a very traditional way, which can sometimes feel unnatural or even stereotypical.
So many cousins.
So many Pedros.
So many donkey-related deaths.
Now, the opposite can be said about Fluffy's role, which is disappointingly subdued. I mean, I wish she played a more prominent role, kind of like Urkel in Family Matters, but I know that's risky and it kind of takes the attention from Cristela, yada yada yada. Got it. Overall, I give this show 3.5 out of 5 frijoles. I say put the gas on Fluffy, tap the brakes on the over-the-top writing, and you got yourself a hit. Second, we review Jane the Virgin. Jane the Virgin is a series about Jane Villanueva, a 23-year-old Latina who makes a vow to her grandma to save her virginity until she's married. Jane is a very driven young woman who is on her way to becoming a teacher or a writer, but everything goes sideways when a doctor accidentally inseminates her during a checkup. Ooh, wait, that sounded wrong. Anyway, whatever, she gets pregnant. What follows can only be described as telenovela drama. Eduardo, Maria, Eduardo, Maria. A bit over the top. Not only had she just gotten engaged to her longtime boyfriend of 2 years, but the biological donor just so happened to have been her teenage crush, who is now a married man, as well as a cancer survivor whose last chance at having an offspring just happened to be Jane. I'll leave things there cause, well, spoilers. Now, with the reference to the Virgin Mary and the Immaculate Birth, this series had the potential of going south way fast, and I'm not talking about going to Mexico. But in my opinion, the excellent writing saved their heads, cause trust me, there would have been heads a-rolling. Overall, I give Jane the Virgin a 4.5 out of 5. Acting is superb and the writing is top-notch. I would say that it even has enough drama to get the casual telenovela watcher hooked. I'm also gonna talk about a study that came out from Columbia University which basically says these shows and movies are a great start, but we're nowhere near in bridging the Latino gap in media. Now, with movies like The Book of Life or television shows like Cristela or Jane the Virgin, you would think that Latinos are doing great in Hollywood, right? But in reality, there is still a huge gap. In a report commissioned by the University of Columbia, NALIP, and the National Hispanic Foundation for the Arts, which you can find here or in the links in the description, you will find that Latinos constitute one of the fastest growing ethnic groups in the United States, comprising 17% of the population. Yet Latino participation in television and film is extremely limited, and when we are included, we're usually included as stereotypical roles, the majority of which are either police officers, criminals, or Sofia Vergara. Not only are these stereotypes bad, but they don't accurately represent reality. Check this, in the top 10 scripted shows, Latinos only made up 3.9% of all lead appearances. In movies, that figure was even worse at 1.7%. This despite the fact that Latinos account for 25% of all movie ticket sales. Simply put, the people on the screen don't look like the people in the audiences. And that's just on screen. Latinos are missing behind the scenes too. And I don't mean cleaning crews or grips or any of that stuff. I'm talking about directors, writers, and producers. Okay, Debbie Downer, is that it? All bad news? No, actually, the report also goes into ways that we can change these facts, such as advocacy or using our consumer power to change these trends. Basically meaning, if you don't like something, show them with your wallet. The study also talks about how YouTube is changing the landscape, pointing out that 18% of the top 50 YouTubers happen to be Latino. Again, when you take into account that Latinos make up 17% of the US population, it seems that YouTube is onto something. One of the great things about platforms like YouTube is that they allow people like me to to create content for you without the permission of the traditional model. Personally, I'm glad that Latinos are getting a shot at traditional media entertainment, but what I'm really excited for is the stuff that's yet to come from people like you and me out of YouTube. I think the next Latino superstar may not come from traditional media. The next Latino superstar may come from the internet. Dun dun dun. But anyway, that's just my POV. What do you think? How many frijoles would you give Cristela and Jane the Virgin? This will be the last POV in a little while, but we'll be back with a lot more programming. So make sure you like our Facebook page and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss a thing. Till next time, my name's Eddie G. You've been watching POV, and I'll see ya soon.